to then deal with them on a legal basis in multi-jurisdictional areas. It's difficult, it's time-consuming, and often people close the doors on you because you're nobody, you have no balance sheet, you've got no track record. Obviously, you've had some help from people who are on your board, people like Fred, but I'd like to learn more about your experience of corporate venturing and how you've managed to deal with large multi-billion-pound companies that have a lot of IP. Their value is their IP ultimately. So I mean, you're treading deeply on the core of their beings, and how you've dealt with that, and at what level you've had to operate within those organizations to make what you've done possible. I mean, what you've done is phenomenal.
Thanks. There's no easy answer to it. I think what you have to do when you're navigating all of these big companies is essentially find a sponsor for your deal. You have to find someone that is passionate about what you're doing, as passionate as you are about it. And that person might not necessarily be the senior vice president or the executive vice president, which, by the way, I didn't even know that title existed before I entered into this business. But, you have to find a sponsor, and that guy might be the guy sweeping the floors. But it doesn't matter. You have to find that sponsor, and that person will drive the deal for you internally. That's the one thing. And then prepare to go through layer of people and convincing them. Because it's not about convincing one person. It's about convincing several different people and finding ambassadors throughout those companies when we're working with it. And for us, there's a few people. I could probably name them, but there's probably 50 to 100 people at all of these big companies that have been of tremendous help to us. And they've really supported us, and they've really, when things have been tough, they've really come through for us. And those people, you need to nurture those relationships and understand that those are the key success factors. And it's not just necessarily the CEO or the senior vice president, but it might be the guy on the floor that does the day-to-day job and gets shit done, basically.
There you go. Go the guy who gets shit done. Tim, in front of you.
Hi, Tim Beaver, BBC. Questions. You stressed quite a lot the burn rate issue. When will Spotify be profitable? The second one is you have quite a number of companies. As an entrepreneur, what is your strategy? Is it set up a company and wait for the buyout? Mark Zuckerberg likes it, for example. Is that a perspective?
Yeah, so when we're break even, that's an interesting question. I don't personally think it's interesting. I know that everyone else thinks it's interesting, and it sort of tells you the viability of your model. But the truth is, we could have been cash flow positive if we wanted to a bit early on, but we've chosen to grow quicker instead. And we're always going to choose to grow quicker if we can. So, and I saw that Mark recently announced the fact that Facebook was cash flow positive. And he had the same position. They've been cash flow positive before, and they could have been cash flow positive, a while ago. But the fact was that they wanted to grow the business instead. And we're in a fortunate position where we have investors that believe in what we're doing, and they want to back that. And we can invest more before reaching profitability. That doesn't mean that we can lose a ton of money, but the truth is that we believe in our model, and we believe that we can execute on it. So what we're doing now is we're just trying to grow the business, and I don't really care about the short-term profitability thing. The other one is what's our exit strategy, and it's a very good question. I personally think that we're trying to build this. In Europe, my mind is like this. There's only been a very, very few billion-dollar exits. Skype is probably the most notably one. But what's even more interesting is to actually build a company that is really, really big and, stands on its own legs. I want to build a company like SAP, where it's probably the only one of its kind now in Europe, but it's a big company. It's run from Europe, and it's standalone business. It's not owned by Microsoft or someone else, and I really want to build that kind of company. So with Spotify, our ultimate goal is trying to build a company that can be self-sustained and can be a company out of Europe. And we don't see ourselves, coming back to the local thing, we don't see ourselves as Swedish. We don't see ourselves, I'm Swedish, but the company's not Swedish. The company's European. And we come from Europe, and we've got people from Canada, from Mexico working for us. We've got people from all over Europe working for us in different countries as well. So we want to build a sustainable company. I don't know if we will sell it to someone. We might. I mean, we're businessmen as well, so there's always the risk-reward kind of thing. But ultimately, we hope that we can go down the route of building a sustainable business that can live on its own, and something that people in Europe, that we can acquire other interesting businesses instead, and keeping them in Europe.
Right. A few more. There's one at the back there. Let's have somebody in the far distance. Can you whiz over with the microphone? Sorry, I should have given you a bit of notice, really. That's the answer. Pass the parcel.
Hello, I'm Rich Tranholm from CNET UK. You mentioned that you were dealing with artists and they had different distribution rights, kind of fragmented rights. Are you in a position to actually cut out the middleman completely and deal directly with artists? And do you think that's possibly the future of the music industry? And also, what sort of percentage of the money that's paid, say, in a subscription, actually ends up in the hands of the artist?
So, I mean, could we cut out the middleman? Yes, we could, but we don't think it's necessarily the right way to go with it. We like record companies, we like publishers and so on as well, and we think that there's, now more than ever, there's a need for people to help the artist out with different things, both in terms of distribution, but also through marketing as well. A lot of people forget that record companies is not only about distributing the CD, it's also about marketing. And marketing music now is more trickier than ever, because people can find it for free, but will they ultimately find it for free? Because there's more music out there now than ever. And it's about marketing it to the right audience that ultimately want to pay for the music as well. So we think that there's definitely a need for the middleman in this case, and we do want to work with them. But at the same time, we do want to have unsigned artists that approaches us and comes into Spotify. So right now we're working with aggregators to help us out with that. But ultimately, I don't know. But we want to provide more ways of artists to interact with the Spotify service, so that they can get data about who their users are, what kind of content are they listening to, where are they, so that they perhaps could book concerts around it or sell merchandise through it. And that's kind of my ultimate end goal as well, being the platform between the artists and the fan.
Good question. Where are we? Down here? We've got time for about 3 more minutes worth.
Thanks. Hi, Daniel. My name's Angus Phillipson. You said music is the most social thing out there, and you also said that you've been getting quite into Twitter, and I assume that's kind of the same reason that I find Twitter interesting. That's social discovery, finding out interesting things from your peers. And you just alluded to the fact that giving information back to the artists was something that you're interested in. What does the future of kind of peering preferences and sharing preference data, what's going on at Spotify Towers? What's in the pipeline there?
So I think that there's several different initiatives out there. We're looking into, obviously, how we can provide